Hi guys, welcome to summer school 6th grade ELA lesson number 3. So today we're going to talk about plot. Plot is how a story is put together. So we're going to go over the plot diagram to help you understand the short story Charles. All right, so you guys have probably all seen the plot diagram in elementary. I've had students tell me that some of the teachers refer to it as like a witch's hat. I know some teachers use a roller coaster as an analogy, and this is just a really basic model, okay? But please notice that it's not an even like pyramid, okay? So the importance of plot for us is kind of twofold. First of all, you should be able to understand the basics of the important points of a story. And second of all, since you know that you have to annotate as you read, this should help you decide what is important enough to put a hashtag or an annotation next to. So every story is going to really have a start with an exposition. Exposition is where we learn who our characters are and we learn about our setting. So we learn about the time, the place, we get some description. And so some stories, the exposition is very short. Some stories, it's kind of trickled throughout and we get the conflict right away. Some stories, it's way too long. And those are the stories that we tend to get a little bit bored on because there's too much description and not enough action. Next up comes the conflict. So the conflict is introduced at this little point right here that leads to the rising action. So that's what sets off our rising action and gets the story going. So in our story, if we have, a female character and lives in this fairy tale wonderful land, the conflict being introduced may be a dragon. All right. Obviously, that's going to cause some kind of problem. It does not have to be that significant. Remember, we have different kinds of conflict, like man versus nature, man versus self, and so on and so forth. So we have several different options for that. And you'll get into that more when you get into 7th and specifically 8th grade. Next up is our rising action. So rising action usually starts smaller. So in this case, maybe the dragon is breathing fire a little bit. As our rising action gets more developed, our character may try and solve the problem and fails. The problem may get bigger, like a whole place burning down instead of just like a fireball, and move forward like that. Then up at the top, we have our turning point, also called our climax. Our turning point or climax is where we know how this story is going to end. So we know that, if the knight and the dragon are fighting, there's going to be a turning point during that battle where we know how everything is going to end. The following action is usually a pretty short piece. And that short piece would be, just kind of wrapping up things from the battle in this scene or whatnot. And then finally, we have our resolution. And our resolution is our ending. All right. All our conflicts should be kind of tied up. Now, our resolution doesn't have to be happy. So in this case, I have our main character and the dragon are now friends. All right. But it could be, that the dragon eats the main character and our main character is dead. And that would be a resolution. So we don't have to have a happy ending. It just has to tie up the conflict. Okay. The only time that we wouldn't see that is in like a book series or something where there's a continuation of the story or in some kind of a surprise ending that's meant to leave the readers hanging. So hopefully this kind of helps you understand what you should be looking for in your story. You got to look for your setting and your characters, the conflict they're facing, the rising action, the turning point, the falling action, which a lot of times our stories are short and don't have much of that, and then finally a resolution. I will warn you that your story, Charles, has a bit of a surprise ending, so make sure you guys are paying attention for that. And I will see you guys on video number 4.